So game two, Framber Valdez is awesome. I love Framber. Love him to death.
I gotta ask.
No, he's not.
I got to. I gotta.
Ask the
What is
question.
that though? What
He's
is it?
done it.
What is he doing? Rubbing his hands and rubbing
He's
his arm. Like what's going on there?
so Fromber
From an
has
Astros fan perspective.
Fromber has struggled with his anxiety for a long time. And when he first came up to the majors, he was signed at 21. If you were watching the game, they talked about it on the game a little bit, but he was signed at 21, not 16 like normal. And so he kind of had like a am I good enough mentality for a long time. And he would get to the majors and he would nibble, and he was afraid to throw the ball in the strike zone, and he would end up walking guys. And it took a long time before people could finally get it through his head is like, hey, your stuff's unhittable a lot of the time. Just throw it up there because you're hard to hit and stop
Right.
nibbling. And so he would get himself into these bad situations and he would have really bad results, even though everybody knows that he's super talented and that he could get himself out of these situations too, but it would cost him. And he would get animated on the mound and he would end up losing the game. He would lose his command, he would lose his cool, and he would just self-destruct on the mound. And one of the things with working with a sports psychologist was to kind of keep himself busy between pitches. And so that's one of the things that he does to keep himself busy between pitches, to keep his mind occupied between pitches. And he's done it
So
for the last 2
kind of like
years.
a
Yeah, he's done it for the last 2 years. He does it before. He does it between every pitch. His his um his spin rate was not higher really than any games this year. It was right in line with his averages this season. They check him every inning. Every inning he comes off, they're checking him.
I will say that's true. They are supposed to do that. I will say that one time when I did see them check him, it was almost like good.
I mean, they check him the same way every other pitcher's checked.
Well, they are checking every other pitcher the same way. That's true.
You know,
But
David Robinson comes out and
it's
he's got a
just
big old black mark on the brim of his hat. Why does a reliever have a big black mark on the brim of his hat? Nobody's saying anything
why is it
about
gotta be
that.
black, boys?
That's what it is.
No,
Nobody's saying anything about that.
it's just so the reason is I mean there's just so many different little things that it's funky. Now, obviously, I know the whole bat thing was stupid because it was just because
Yeah.
of a possible malfunction with the bat. It was no competitive advantage. I get that. But why is it always got to be something? Wouldn't you rather just not have anything and just
There's people with the Astros, people are gonna find shit to look at and say, "Ooh, look at this, look at that." They
I
just
mean, true.
are. They just are because people are so like they want so hard to believe that the Astros were created by the cheating scandal. They want so hard to believe that the Astros are not very good and that they're only good because of the cheating. No, they're good because they're good. Yes, they cheated. It didn't really help. You can look at a million different studies that have been done by people that have no connection to the Astros, including done by the LA Times that put out an article for a study that they did that showed that it didn't have anything to do with it, that it didn't help, that it hurt just as
Okay.
often as it helped. People are just going to find everything that they possibly can to point to the Astros cheating, whether it be the
Well,
stupid
that
bullshit,
I
the
mean,
buzzers.
you gotta admit the whole Framber thing just it doesn't look right unless you do
I mean,
have an explanation.
but
But
if you
it took you a little while to even explain it. So like it's
but
just,
if you
but
watch
it makes
if
sense.
you
I
watch
get it.
other pitchers, what do? They go to their hair, they go to their hat, they go to all these other things. Nobody ever says anything about anybody else other than Framber Valdez and the Astros.
I mean, that's not true. People have said stuff about other guys, but I mean, it's the World Series. You got the most eyes on you right now. So
If I wanted to, I could look up and find plenty of videos of other at least somebody on every single team that does something.
well, I know, and somebody even posted like a picture of like Nola with like brown on his hat and his thigh
Yeah.
too, and like I get that. Like I wasn't trying to say he had anything. I just wanted to know what your perspective was on it, and I gotta admit that it's just always something, and it just seemed kind of funky
It's
and
just because people are always looking for something with the Astros.
true.
I
Fair
tell you
enough.
one thing. If the Astros are still cheating with everybody in the world watching them at all times, everything that they do, if they're still cheating, they are the greatest goddamn cheaters in the history of the world, and you should just let them do it because they're so good at it that nobody can catch them. If they're still cheating, which they're not. You really think
One
Dusty Baker is letting his team do anything out of bounds with his only shot at winning a title? You really
if
think
you
Dusty
think that
Baker's letting
the
that
coach
happen?
knows everything that's going on, if you think that the manager always knows everything going on with the players, then you're thinking wrong because you know that ain't true. There's always something going on with the players where like they got their own little group chat and like you know that happens. I'm not trying to say that they do that to cheat,
Yeah.
but you know we don't have everything under control. So like there's a chance that could be going on without him even knowing.
Yeah.
But regardless, one way to put it is I personally didn't notice anything while I was watching the game. The
Yeah.
only way I saw all that stuff was Twitter and seeing other people saying it and
Yeah.
noticing stuff. So like, yeah, no, I didn't really notice anything I mean, until I did see it pointed out, then I did think it was kind of funky.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, no, I didn't actually notice it while we were watching because I'm used to seeing guys do some stuff. It, it just was different than what most guys usually do. And that's why it was kind of weird for me. But
Yeah.
anyways, let's get into the game. He did pitch really, really well.
He did.
Astros go up 5 again. Slap me if you've heard this before. Don't reach through the computer and slap me twice. But so they go up 5-0, and then, dude, I thought they were about to do it again, bro. I really did. When Schwarber hit that foul ball when it was 5-1, and I think it was the 8th inning, right?
The umpire fall asleep on that because that was so far foul.
Either he fell asleep or it was
The
one of those type things where like they're starting to learn from the NFL, and if they go ahead and rule it one way, they know that they have to go look at the cameras and fix it. So
yeah,
maybe they're like, let's just rule it this way just in case, and then
but
go look at it.
the right field umpire, like he has one job, and that's fair or
True.
foul. That's his only job.
Maybe he needs to be hanging on to the foul pole and just be reading it from there.
Yeah, let's suspend him down the foul pole, and you can just watch the game from right there.
Yeah, I dig it. No, I just, dude, but when he hit that, I was like, oh no, because it was almost like very similar to game one, except it was a little bit later.
A little later,
So I
yeah.
was like, dang.
Let's see. That was
But
the
Framber pitched good. That was the eighth, I
was
think.
it the eighth inning?
I think
Yeah,
so.
that was the eighth inning. That whole if he had hit that home run, it would have been
5-3.
5-3. Um, did you? I don't know if you saw this, but we had a perfect game in
What?
game two. We had a perfect game in game two. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Pat Hoberg had a perfect game.
Oh, the
The
umpire.
home plate umpire.
That's right.
It's
Okay, yeah,
the
I did see that.
the first ever umpire perfect game since they started tracking it back in 2015.
Which is very impressive. I mean, obviously it was put on the World Series for a reason.
Yeah, which there's a Foolish Baseball. You know Foolish Baseball, right? The YouTube channel.
I don't think so.
Oh,
No.
okay. I'm gonna send you some Foolish Baseball content tonight.
All right, sweet.
You're gonna end up doing a deep dive, and it's gonna be fun for you. But he did a video of like umpires, and he ended up breaking down like a Pat Hoberg game from earlier this year, like in April, where Hoberg he missed the very first pitch of the game. He called it wrong, but then called correctly the rest of the way. And he was talking about that being the first the closest that anybody's ever come to a perfect game. And then
Dang.
maybe one day Pat Hoberg will be the one to do a perfect game. And by
Boom.
God, he did it in the World Series.
Yeah, that's badass, dude. That's pretty dope.
Yeah,
You did get me there for a second. I was like,
I just
what the fuck are you talking about, dog?
um,
But
no,
I
I
did see
just
that.
wanted to
Honestly,
shout out Pat Hoberg.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, I was trying to think about it. I guess it was game one because I felt like there were some questionable calls in game one.
There were a couple. He was a fairly well officiated game one.
Oh yeah, there were only a few, but there was a couple that was completely outside of the strike zone, at least
Yeah.
on the K zone or whatever, and he
Yeah. Nobody's
oh yeah, I
perfect
mean they're
except
human.
Pat.
Yeah, once.
Yeah.
If he starts doing it on a regular basis, now we need to see if he's like an AI or some
Right.
shit.
If he's a cyborg from another planet.
Yeah.
So he actually I saw the stat. I think it's 95.1% correct calls throughout the season, which is insane.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's legit.
But I don't have really too much on game two, really. Framber was great. There was 3 doubles within the first 4 pitches of the game for Wheeler or against Wheeler.
Yeah. And that's definitely not good when your number two is getting hit like that right away.
No, they
That's
came with
tough.
and it wasn't like it was just like he was pumping fastballs. Uh, Altuve hit a fastball on the first pitch for a double. Pena hit a slider on the first pitch for a double. And then it was, I think, Jordan fouled off a cutter and then hit a double on the curve. It was 4 different pitches
That sounds right.
and 3 doubles.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts of game two was when Pena tried to flip that ball to Jose
Right.
Altuve,
Yeah.
and Altuve was
Almost
just a
forgot about that.
statue. Yeah, he was just a statue on the ground watching the play. It was like he was umpire trying to watch the play at
Right.
first.
So
But that was the go ahead.
I don't think they had a play at second.
They did. That was
I
definitely the play. That was the
don't
play. No,
I don't think he would have been out at second.
he would have had to do a spinning throw, and that's where we see launches, and that's where you end up giving an extra base or two. So I disagree. I think the play was at second, and I think you did have a play. It was going to be a bang bang play, but with those two middle infielders, it should have been a play.
Yeah, maybe.
Altuve should have covered, and
He should have covered for sure, regardless of whether there was a play or not.
Exactly, because it's not up to Altuve to decide what Pena is going to do.
Yeah.
You got to be there just in case he does decide to do that, and of course he did. But it was just hilarious the way, and when they showed it in slow motion, I liked it even more.
Yeah.
The ball just floating over his head.
So I saw somebody had created a GIF of that where they put the word "you" above Altuve, and then had the joke on the ball, and so the joke was flying over Altuve's head, which was pretty solid.
That's a good one.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
that's
a store one for later when you need to call
Right.
somebody out for the joke going over their head.
But yeah, 1-1 series. We got 3 games in Philly coming up, and I'm confident the Astros they're going to do good.
All right, we'll see. Should be playing right now, but they're not because of rain. Dumb.
I'm going to send you the.
But we'll be back tomorrow. Give.
Yeah. Did you see Verlander flip off the Philly fans today?
I got the update and I forgot to actually look at it. No.
So they were jawing
Oh.
at him whenever they got to the stadium, and he got off he got off the
I
bus
just saw that.
and flipped them off. And
Nice.
um he used his left hand to flip them off. And somebody in the comments said, finally, somebody has taken the advice from Bull Durham and punched with their left hand.
I like it.
With their
There you go, dude.
non-pitching hand. Never
Yep,
throw a
that's
pitch with your
smart.
pitching hand.
I mean, I've been there. It's not what
Yeah,
you want to do.
I remember.
Scar right here. Oh.
I remember.
Yeah.
But
Now I have
Verlander
to
just
go
said that,
lefty because
right. Verlander had responded to a tweet of somebody talking about that, and he just says that he said that he said hello in their native tongue.
fair enough. I mean, they give them the bird.
Yeah, it's Philly.
They are in Philly. Yeah, can't forget that they are also the birds.
Yep.